need to make landfall.
Hi, welcome back to my channel. Until very recently, I thought I was a dark empath, and I feel like I'm actually not a dark empath, I'm actually a heyoka empath, which does not actually possess narcissistic traits. I think recovering from narcissistic abuse had me thinking that I possessed narcissistic traits, where I actually think I was just stuck in a mindset that I did, or reacting to abuse that I had experienced, internalizing that abuse and sort of assuming that I was, because any person, regardless of how empathic you are, will obviously take on narcissistic traits. But I believe I'm a heyoka, actually, rather than dark empath. Doesn't really matter about my experience, but I think these are signs that you are also a heyoka. And what heyoka is, a heyoka empath is like the most highest level of an empath, okay? Well, however highest level, just the most powerful apparently. Um, and they will basically have a very powerful level of healing involved in their personality types. I will talk about this later on. I want to get into like what it means to be heyoka, but a lot of my recent videos have involved protecting your energy and empathy and time spent, and identifying toxic personalities in order to not be overwhelmed as as a heyoka. It's I've heard easy for other people to be overwhelmed by heyoka empaths because they are quite not necessarily intense, but they will reflect back at any person their own personality, and that can be quite an intense thing for someone, especially like a narcissist, because they try so hard not to see their own like real true personality. So when that is inevitably reflected back to them by a heyoka, that's really difficult for them to handle. So that's one thing, and that's the reason why also it can be an irritating thing for some people. I believe it's because of narcissistic traits, rather than, obviously if you're a heyoka you can't really help reflecting someone's personality back at them, so I suppose there's a level of that. But obviously, if they didn't have a personality disorder of narcissism, they wouldn't get irritated by seeing their own personality. So I would say it's kind of a bit of both, to be fair. So they have the right to be irritated, but at the same time, lots of other people believe they're engaging and warm. It's to be a heyoka. It's not a bad thing, you know. Obviously, some people find it difficult to handle, apparently. So heyoka disclaimers. So apparently they originate from a Native American Sioux tribe, where they are. I didn't write down the thing, but there's something about being a clown or something, like a bird clown or something. I can't really remember like what the actual word was, but it's how they see things differently, and they're very wise, and they see like things in the world that are wrong, or that are, or like dysfunctional in society. They pick up on it quite quickly, and I can see that in myself. Like often, like just gonna change, just delete a video. So yeah, um, they see things differently, and it's I've always noticed this sense in myself where I think it's kind of funny, because it kind of, I feel like, can look a bit psychopathic from the outside. Okay, not psychopathic, but the way I kind of present myself is, I feel like the way I present myself generally is kind of not the norm, and that actually goes with being Hyoka. They just are not, they kind of go against the norm. That's one of the things on here, but it's not at all to create discord. It's more of a case of like, you want to see the patterns in things, and kind of just like, not you want to see, but you're naturally drawn towards seeing the way that it kind of stuff can kind of be different than, I don't know, you just see the cracks in things quite quickly. Simply, they're great listeners, they're patient, kind, understanding. There's this gusher sense of, which again, in terms of protecting yourself as a heyoka slash empath, so that's anyone that has empathic qualities slash anyone typical that's not highly narcissistic. It's really important to protect these qualities at the same time, and it's something that I've really been working on, because I thought I was a dark empath anyway, so I've been learning a lot about narcissism and its sort of unchangeable toxic nature. And if you are like a gusher as a personality, or you feel things, you get very stressed out by conflict, and I mean, it's not necessarily about being stressed out by conflict. I think it's more a case of like, you know, you might have a lot of empathy to give, but it's about kind of portioning out that empathy for the people that are in your life that you want to prioritize, rather than just sort of dishing it out to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that comes along, especially if they're empathic. But the thing about the thing about heyokas is that they're often they pick up on toxic personalities very quickly and kind of try and avoid that at all costs. Um, they like to make light of a hard situation. So again, this is one of those things where I think people can just overestimate your ability to handle situations, because I'm quite good, like historically, with this as a trait, because it comes from being a heyoka. It's not to say like you can handle all of life's issues with ease, you know what I mean? Like obviously every single person has to deal with hard situations, and heyokas and empaths in general, they just don't like to put their, you know, because they can sense other people's emotion, they don't want to burden other people with their problems. But that's been something that I've had to learn how to do, because it's not healthy, and it's probably a symptom of narcissists in my life in the past that has led me to not wanting to obviously like rely on other people. And relying on other people is really healthy, the right people, and obviously they need everything that normal healthy human beings have. Just because they are empathic people doesn't mean that they have any less needs than the typical person, or any narcissistic person, highly narcissistic person. They still need attention. Like everyone has a healthy level of narcissism, so narcissists need attention. I'm probably going to carry on doing another video on, it's even things like, though, like stuff that you feel that you have to like some people might feel the need to miss out on, and things like rebellion. Like people will just get joy out of rebellion, like, you know, going out and getting on the piss, and, you know, having a night out and like drinking loads, or doing something like really stupid. Why does my phone always run out? So yeah, things like that, rebellious stuff, I feel like can be underestimated. Things like sexual energy, or uncomfortable feelings, or disgusting feelings, or sort of just the, like, you know, negatives of life, can, I feel like, be overcompensated for as an empath sometimes, just to kind of manage a toxic situation. And it's just really about trying to recalibrate your mind and just set different energetic boundaries in order to cope with things like that. Because, for example, if a narcissist is really rageful, you're gonna sometimes, I've noticed for me, like swing the other way just in order to keep the like energetic peace. And it's really just not necessary. Like you have to sort of stand up for your like need to be balanced in the world. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes, in it. Anyway, to continue with the heyoka thing. Like it's not for you to compensate for someone else's toxicity. Do you know what I mean? It's just not. I know we all have our own place in the world, but it's just not for you to do. You have to put yourself first at the end of the day. So helping others understand their own life, they can, and they often crack even like really like toxic narcissistic people. But again, this shouldn't be the goal. I think for me it's just about learning that, and toxic people, even if you crack them and they might on some level, obviously you're not, the thing about heyokas is they can be quite, they're not going to sort of, I don't know, like even if you crack a toxic person, it doesn't mean that they will change. Like, so even if they consider you to be like a heyoka, or obviously like see your true nature or whatever, it doesn't mean that they will change and you should have anything to do with them. Like it's just that like even they will see your goodness kind of thing, even though like they really don't want to. A strong sense of intuition and can read other people. Yeah, definitely can relate to this. Like, yeah, just I can pick up on other people's stuff quite quickly. They can spot phonies. In school this was a massive thing for me, like just people that like, and I don't think I understand now more on a holistic level of things like fawning, and like how like in nature and stuff, like, you know, sometimes you just have to, you know, I don't really want to go too deep into that, but I feel like that was just a thing that I did. I used to just detest it when people would just like be fake. Like it was so obvious to me. I just feel like, why are you acting like that? But I get it, because narcissists don't have a level of authenticity, and they need a way to be sort of accepted into a tribe or society, because they don't really have much to say that is positive. So this is not a judgment video, and this is not to hate a narcissist. None of my videos would hate narcissists, but it kind of is sometimes. But like, let's not get into all that stuff now. People act emotionally to you and reflect things back to you. And this is how this is different to a psychopath falsely evoking empathy, because psychopaths, yeah, I don't want to like take too long because I don't want my camera to run out again. Some honest, they don't even like telling white lies again. But I think for me it's about learning not to overexpose things, especially to people you don't care to have things overexposed to. I've always had an issue with lying. Like, I used to just be like, I have to tell the truth to like every narcissistic person or whatever. People can use it against you though, so it's really important to kind of filter what you say to certain people. But I think this just comes with life and discernment or whatever, and being burned a few times. um they have a childlike wonder and search for beauty in places others overlook. Yep, can recognize that. I think this can be confused with limerence, which can come from childhood abuse and neglect. So that's important to keep in mind. You don't want to sort of like kid yourself into thinking the world is like a perfect place, or, you know, have any sort of disassociation like as a goal. Obviously, sometimes obviously that can naturally happen and that's valid. But I don't think childlike wonder is the same as seeing beauty in places that people overlook. Because obviously even like narcissists, they're very emotionally dysregulated, and they just find it hard they just don't enjoy pretty much anything. So there we go. Creative outlets. They're very creative, definitely can relate, and they heal others. Again, they like to go against the norm, um, or they don't like to go against the norm. They go against the norm, but not in a way that's disruptive. Just more that like they're kind of trying to figure out the situation, and it's not like a negative thing. They move quite gracefully, I find. Like to say things that cause a stir. Like they're not gonna just like go out their way to be difficult kind of thing, but it's like they might not necessarily just like move like a sheep, if you know what I mean. Like some people would try really hard to fit in and stuff. Like heyoka might not do that. They like to say things that cause a stir and make people, but and cause people to think. Again, it's not from a level of like it's not from a level of, what's it like to say things that cause a stir and make people think. Yeah, it's not from a level um of what's the word? It's not from a level of attention seeking, even though we all need attention. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to listen to that for just exactly through. I'm so sorry. I might blank that bit out and cut it out or something probably. They like to say things. They like to say things that cause a stir and make people think, um, because they just want to change. If there's a norm or there's something that's toxic going on, they want to keep that under control. And lastly, they recognise that they can only control their own emotions. They embrace all of their emotions and sort of try and live life to the fullest, and can be overwhelmed by the, yeah. So, and I think this is different to people living in Fantasyland. Obviously, narcissists kind of like having this like toxic positivity level and only living in the like now, and we have to, you know, do this like and be really intense about stuff and kind of just keep future faking and like, you know, love bombing each other or whatever. It's different to living life to the full. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.